think for me and lots of other members of staff, there was a lot of low-level behaviours that were happening, and I think what we were looking for was a consistent approach across school, so all staff had a very clear structure in terms of what they needed to do in order to address any sort of behaviour issues. I think lots of staff were being very proactive with their behaviour management, but we were all doing different things, so then the expectation wasn't very clear for the pupils then either. Minor irritations really, in terms of, you know, they might be tapping or talking when they shouldn't be talking, you know, then just not being engaged all the time, I suppose, and thinking it was going to go unnoticed.
There used to be like people that would just mess about as soon as the teacher left the room, whereas like now everyone sort of just sits there and is quiet.
We thought that we really couldn't do that by ourselves though.
Yes.
We thought that a new voice, collectively discussing what we wanted in terms of our vision for what behaviour and attitude should look like at East Hunsbury Primary School, the best way forward would be to do that collectively and actually have a training day together where everyone had a shared understanding of what we wanted to do and the new systems that we were going to put in place to make it consistent for anyone working here and anyone learning here.
Whenever we get a supply teacher now, we show them the same respect as we would to any other teacher.
And another huge benefit actually, Nikki, was also engaging the lunchtime supervisors in the whole process, because one of the things that was fed back to you in the pupil interviews was that they honestly felt that the children treated lunchtime supervisors differently than they would have done the teachers, and just giving them a way of feeding back to us through their scoring system and having the best prize of all, which is the mufti day to give, has really turned things around for many of the lunchtime supervisors.
Oh, definitely feel I had a voice. Obviously, we were asked directly, and yeah, obviously the training and everything was very clear as well. So I do feel I was part of it, and I think, you know, our opinions were taken on board because they've been addressed. As an outsider, you can come in, you can be objective, and you can say what you really saw. We needed an approach that was going to suit the entire school, and it gave us that consistency, I think, that we were all looking for. And I think sometimes it just takes somebody to say, this is what we're going to do, and it gives you a very clear way forward. The children know the expectations, the staff know the expectations, you know, there's no woolliness around, you know, what we want our pupils to do, how we want them to behave.
That was another thing that was really useful to us, was actually unpicking the golden rules and saying what would it look like, because if we know what it looks like, then we'll be able to reward it more specifically, and it's understood by the children as well as the adults, so that was very powerful for us too.
I think it was really nice to come into a school where it was absolutely consistent in each class. I think a really valuable time of the year was in September, where we devoted pretty much 2 whole weeks to PSHE, to establishing the rules in our classrooms, to making displays, and to making those displays personal to the children, so that they could decide on their class rules, they could decide on what they wanted from us as teachers.
We've also been impressed by the fact that we've had an NQT join us last year, and also our supply teachers. They too noticed a huge difference in terms of being able to come into a classroom and know the systems, and know the sanctions, the rewards we have in place, the hands up to get the children's attention. It happens wherever you go, it's not complicated. Whichever classroom they're in now, whether they're doing supply in reception or year 6, it'll be the same, it'll look the same and be managed in the same way. And make it a better experience for both the children and the lunchtime supervisors. And that was an area that we wanted to focus upon, improving lunchtimes, but also looking at our lunchtime club. but also the senior management team were having wider discussions about whether or not we were consistent enough.
Maybe. What could we find in the pond, do you think?
You can find some bluebells and tadpoles.
Tadpoles, and what do tadpoles grow into?
Frogs.
Little kind of creatures.
What
And
are
the
they called?
babies, but they live on kind of...
On the top of the water.
dragonflies.
We might find-
The ideas that you gave us helped us so much because they were so simple. The idea of the raffle tickets that every adult has to give out each day, we possibly wouldn't have thought of that on our own, and yet that has been the most powerful thing.
And then there were tiny little tweaks, such as just wearing orange jackets at playtime, and that made such a difference to the children, but also reduced the amount of quarrels we had to resolve at lunchtime and after lunchtime as well. And that's because your pupil interviews actually revealed that they couldn't see the adult because of the sea of people that were out in our very large school. But just putting us in a high-vis vest has made such a difference.
I think another key element that we've practiced hard is our lining up, which I know Liz mentioned had been a bit of an issue before I started here. So ever since I've started, we've been lining up alphabetically, which obviously takes a long time to learn in reception, but it's practice, 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 practice. I think it's been really nice to have planned procedures and clear consequences, but also really clear rewards to praise those children that maybe before got missed.
Children whose behaviour was just being taken for granted.
Yes.
That they wondered what was the point, and so there was a lot of low-level behaviour that we have seen less of now. People are rooting for each other in classrooms because of the secret student that's been introduced. People are encouraging each other to behave well in order to earn raffle tickets. They've got an incentive of golden time. It just doesn't belong to the child who's on a behaviour plan to actually have some reward time at the end of the week. And
I think it's become automatic now, hasn't it? As you walk along a corridor, children and adults automatically hold a door open for you, automatically say good morning. Children walk in corridors, they're quieter in corridors. The conduct of the children has improved considerably,
yes.
Even though it was good before.
it's noticeably
noticeably
different.
They know what we expect. They know what's going to happen if they're not following the rules. But to be honest, I think they're far more excited now about following the rules and about behaving because there's something in it for them.
Listening, when the teacher goes out, it's quiet.
Whenever we get a supply teacher now, we show them the same respect as we would to any other teacher.
They're not those invisible children anymore. They're not just sort of blending into the background now and they're being good because they're just good. It's allowed us to praise them and celebrate what they do every day, really.
Insightful and powerful.
Very, and it moved us from good to outstanding with our behaviour.